So what this set messages just does here is that it takes in our previous messages, then takes in the new message together. So it adds our new message with our previous message that has existed before. So here we don't need messages, we need to just add my MSG. Are you with me? So we need to add my MSG. Now we need from here, we need a way we can store this information in what? In our back end. For instance, if let's go back to our app. Let's just go back. So if I decide to click on Sasha Nelly and I say I want to start a conversation with her, immediately I click on Sasha Nelly and I send a message and I say, "Hi Sasha, are you with me?" And I press on send. In our back end, what we are supposed to have is to have something like this. Let me write it out properly. So we should have a collection created, chat rooms. Now this chat rooms is going to have a UID of the two users who are about to engage in a conversation. That is the person who is sending a message and the person receiving the message. So we are going to create a unique ID. So it can just be, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 blah blah blah. Good. Now we just created a document because this chat room is a collection and this UID is a document. Now in this document we need to create another collection. Yeah, it is possible with Firebase. Now this collection is going to take in what we call messages. That is the messages we are trying to send. It's going to be a what? It's going to be a document. It's going to be a collection rather. So this will take in messages. Then in these messages we have what? A document. Okay, don't get me wrong, this is a collection, document, collection, then we're about to create a what? A document. Now this document is going to be created uniquely. We're going to have a unique ID for it, which Firebase is going to create for us. So each messages now we have a unique ID. In that ID, remember, we are going to be having something like this. Where can I find that? I think I can find it somewhere around. Okay, let me just try to send a message so we get it. So Jennifer again. So you can see we have this. So now all the messages we've what? Sent. So each document, each unique ID will hold a particular message we sent. Are you with me? It's going to hold this particular message we just sent. Now, so I said this is how our back end, our database is going to be. Each time I want to chat with user A, immediately I send my first message. Chat room is what is being created. In that chat rooms, which is what? A collection, we have a unique ID which is unique to the user that is sending the message and the person that is receiving the message. There we have a collection also called messages, which is going to hold the messages between those two users. Now those messages, each of the messages have a unique ID. Those unique ID are going to be documents. For instance, it can be 1 2 3. Now in this document we will now have fields. Those fields will be what will hold each parameters or each of these objects over here. Are you with me? They are going to be what is going to hold each of these objects in these messages over here. So here we can now have MSG, we can have created at, and so on and so forth. So now how do we store these messages in our database? So firstly, we need to create a unique ID for each chat rooms between two people, right? So how do we create that chat room? Okay, that's ID. Let's create a constant. Let's call it doc ID, or let's say chat ID. Good. Now Remember, we have two IDs, the ID of the person sending the message, and that's who is what receiving the message. So let's say if UID, that's the person receiving the message, is greater than what that of the person which is what sending the message, so current user, then we want to do this. Let me use a template, a template string here. So we want to create a unique ID now, which is going to hold what the UID, are you with me, plus an hyphen in between them, plus what the current user, else we want to create another unique ID this should be a template string, so good. Want to use what current user plus an hyphen between them, then plus the what UID. Now let me break it down. Remember, I told you this is how our charts is going to be, how our database structure is going to be like at our back end. Each time user B wants to chat with user A, or user A wants to chat with user B, we'll have chat rooms, which is going to be a collection for each chat between every individuals in the app. Now in that chat rooms we have unique IDs between two individuals which are trying to which are sending a message between each other. Now to get the unique ID, I'm trying to generate the unique ID from the UID of the person receiving this message. Remember, that's what we called UID here, the person receiving the message, and the person currently online who is sending it. So if UID is greater than the current user UID, then we want to create a unique ID. We'll put this between them, else we want to do this. Now are you with me? Now remember, how do we store now these messages in our back end? We need to create a doc reference. So let's say constant, let's call it docref. Docref needs to take in, remember, we need to pass in doc first of all. Remember from when we were trying to store our user credential when a user registered from the previous videos. So this has to take in DB, am I correct? Then it has to take in chatrooms, that is the collection name, so let's call this chat rooms. Then it has to take in an ID, which we are going to pass in chat ID. Good. Remember, we are not just going to stop here, we also need to create another constant. Let's call this collection ref, call ref. Now this is a particular collection with these documents. In these documents now, which is this chat ID, we want to create another collection in it. Hope you're getting me. Now this collection, to show Firebase that we want to create a collection, we pass in collection. Let's just auto import this. We pass in collection. Then in that collection we pass in docref. This docref we pass in here tells Firebase that, oh, so you want to create a collection with this document reference. Then Firebase will be like, okay, I will do that, but we still need to pass in the name of the document, which is messages. So which is messages. Then we now need to pass inwards, let's call this a constant. What can we call this? Let's call this doc snap or chat snap. Now is in this chat snap we are going to call on what? Add doc from Firebase Firestore, which is going to create us a unique ID for each messages. So in here we are going to pass inwards core ref. So in here we pass in core ref. That's the reference to where we want to create a unique ID. The document we want to create a unique ID for a document. Then the next one, we create an object of what we want to store. Remember, we want to store what? My messages, which is this. You can see it, which is this what? Object with destructor. So you can see it contains the messages, contains the send by and the what? UID. So let me change this to current. Good. After that, we want to pass in what? We want to pass in a timestamp for each messages. So we can just say created at. Then we can use a function from Firebase, which is what? Server timestamp, which is from Firebase Firestore. So let's just click this to import. Good. So we've done that. Hopefully this should work. So let's try to send a message. Over here you can see I have our back end open already. So let's try to send a message over here. Say let me send a message to Jennifer Gold. Again I will say hi Jennifer. So if I click on send, oh, we're having an error. We say doc doesn't exist. So that means we did not import doc because we use doc here. So let's just go here and import doc from here. So we import doc. What again is not imported over here? DB collection. Let's see, this collection. Good. What about DB? Did we import DB? Okay, DB is not imported. So let's import DB. So DB is coming from what? Firebase/Firebase config. So let's try this again. One more time. Again, I'm going to say hi Jennifer. Let's send this. Now let's go to our database and let's try to refresh. Nice. You can see over here we have chat rooms, and in these chat rooms we have a unique ID for each of the messages between what? We have a unique ID for the chats between these users. You can see the unique ID. Now in this documents we created what? A new collection. So you can see this is a document, then we created a collection called messages. In these messages we have a unique ID for each what? Messages. So in these messages now you can see, nice, we have a created at. We have in these messages we have what? MSG, which takes what? Our messages that has an ID, the one given by what? Gifted chat. We have a created at. We have the text, and in the user we have what? The ID. We have what? Sent by and sent to. So this is working very, very fine. Let me send another message again. Okay, let me try to send how are you doing. You can see that the previous messages we sent are actually being cleared out. That's because we are not retrieving anything from the database yet. So how are you doing? So let's send this, and hopefully we're having an error. Let's see, what is it saying? saying we have and gather children with the same key. Okay, let's just leave this for now. Let's go back to our database. So now you can see you have messages. In that messages we have what, 2 IDs. This is the first one I sent, hi Jennifer. Then this is the second one, which is what, how are you doing? Oh, how are you doing? That's what I actually sent. Okay, so which is nice. So let's go back to our code. So let's make a little correction to this. So over here, when we want the onSend function to run, we want to take everything in the what, messages. So with the previous one, we pass it there like that. Then we go over here, 1 2 3, we pass it there also. So let's try to send another message. Hope you're having a great day. So let's send. Nice. So that clears the error we had earlier on. So let's check this back in our chat room. Let's reload. So you can see, good, messages. Now we have 3 more. We have a new message which has this. Now we have our ID, we have our created at, send by, send to, the text and the user. Nice. This structure is quite different from what this one we add here, and that was because over here we were not actually passing the previous messages to it. So this is just purely React. We are just taking whatever was left in our messages and appending the new message to it. So same thing over here and over here. So guys, how do we get to retrieve our messages from the back end? But before we do that, firstly, I noticed we were having some error when we log out and try to log in back again, and that's because if you go to our home screen, we were having an await at the front of this query. So there was an await. Let me just Ctrl+Z. So there was an await. So I'll advise you to take away this await. Just remove this await and the async too. So if you do that, you reload, everything will work fine. So let's go to our chat screen. Everything is working very fine.